Our chief property manager, David Norman, hit me up with a kind of alarming message talking about how people are being duped when they're entering into these AI technologies and they don't have an answer for who fills in the gaps. The reality of it is that the more advanced the AI, the more that you're going to need a human to fill in the gap. And that sets up this total paradox that's really, really hard to understand. So he literally came off of the trade show floor at IMN SFR West to explain this to me so that I can explain it to you. Enjoy this conversation with David Norman. Welcome to the Property Management Frame Breakers podcast. I'm your host, Pablo Gonzalez, and I am here to introduce you to the folks in the property management space that have broken the frame of what you may believe was possible. This podcast is presented by Vendoroo. It is your all-in-one AI solution for resolving your maintenance needs. Let's go. You sent me a text talking about how important having a human in the loop is and product quality, how that's thought of if anybody is doing business with an AI company, and how important it is to understand that. Why is that so important?
Well, the first part is that the amounts of product quality that you need to have to ensure that there are teams reviewing like all the messages, all the communications, all the workflows and everything that's going out there. Yeah, you can use AI bosses and we can use judges and we can do these things, but like we're still in uncharted territories, right? And we're still learning of what the capabilities of AI can do. So by using trained, skilled maintenance coordinators to review, to ensure that this behavior or these decisions that are being made actually mimic or even better than what a maintenance coordinator would do is a very important part of the learning and the training and building out those models. So it's a learning every day. So
I feel like I have that conversation with people when we're onboarding them, but I don't know if I'm explaining it correctly, right? Like basically it's this idea that if we are talking about a new way of doing AI, right? Like this new way of AI is a bigger leap than it's a bigger leap to go in agentic than it was from going from like no AI to generative AI, because we're now at the point where the outcome is we can take something like a mental and like a task load and the mental load that comes with the task load completely off your plate. And that's like the transcendent thing. And I think when you say we need, we're like moving into uncharted territories, that's kind of what you mean, right?
Yeah, totally. Like, do you just say that AI, can successfully negotiate with 3 vendors and the outcome is that we have the perfect estimate? We can all believe that we built the workflow and the prompt to achieve that, but we still have people that are evaluating it and grading it and coaching it and guiding it to ensure that that outcome is actually what our clients are looking for, right? Yeah. And so we spend a lot of time on that effort. The other part about it is that, if there are failures, like for example, like what happens when you're working with a company and let's say like AI voice fails on a phone call. Let's just say it fails, right? It doesn't route the call correctly or it doesn't create the email correctly, right? Mm-hmm. Where does that failure go? Right. And so to have a system in place that anytime that there's an AI failure, that it immediately alerts part of our product quality team to review it and look at it and to stitch that workflow back together. You have to have those types of fail safes. And right now, those fail safes are supported by, expert maintenance coordinators and people that are trained to work with the AI to jump in when there are failures, because inevitably we all know that AI will make failures from time to time. And to be 100% efficient, you need to be able to fill in those gaps with the human in the loop.
I think I know why, right? Like, but I feel like you get a backdoor kind of like view as to like all the stuff that's happening, right? So I wonder if you can give me an example of like, it's easy to be like, yeah, AI is going to fail and you don't want it to fail. But like, give me an example of something where an AI fails, and if it wasn't for a human in the loop, it would be something that would make you not ever want to use AI again.
Yep.
versus like an AI failing and it's just like, oh, okay, whatever, something just misfired, I can make up for it. Like, is there
Yeah.
something like
Yeah. Like a phone call comes in from a new owner prospect,
that? Mm-hmm.
and that didn't get transferred over to your team, your sales team at your property management department. You're going to want that boss to flag that and get that over to the quality assurance team ASAP. Make sure that that email or that call or that that workflow was successful. That's like a real one. Like you don't want to miss those calls, right? So you have to have those fail safes in place. Or if the agent's working along the way and something happens with a vendor breakdown in communication or a resident breakdown in communication and it gets flagged that there's a break in the workflow, right? You want to have somebody jump in to understand, well, what caused that break in the workflow so that a resident doesn't have a bad experience, a work order doesn't go untouched, or a vendor's not left in the dark. Like those are things that we want to avoid, and having the human in the loop and the quality process that we have. And I would encourage anybody, if you are looking to work with a company who is introducing AI agents to manage your maintenance workflows or call bases, you need to make sure, the first thing to ask, do we have a human in the loop fail safe process that's backing that up? And if they don't, I would just say, just be cautious about that. How do they handle failures? That's a question that you should be asking. Like, we're handing out your book to everybody here, and they're looking at the wins and the successes of what we learned over the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And, one of the things that we've learned over the last 2 years is that, you need to have backups and you need to have a human in those places to jump in if AI makes an error or makes mistakes or fails, for sure.
So I hear two different things, and one feels more obvious than the other, right? Like to me the idea of like there's a breakdown in communication between a resident, maybe like the idea that an AI sees that communication flow has completely stopped before a work order is completed and is able to like flag that up the chain of command, and that feels like something all AI should be able to do. And then there's a matter of then who's that person that like looks in on that? Is it someone on my team? It goes directly to someone on my team who's already kind of like doing a million things, or is it
Yeah.
going directly to someone inside the technology provider that handles it before it has to go like to that person that we promised that we take this off of their plate? Am I thinking of that piece correctly?
Yeah, totally. There's some clients that say, well, when there's these failures, I want that escalation to come to me,
Mm-hmm.
and they may not be in a position to jump on it in real time. And then we do have a program in our top tier called Command that they can actually, get fractional human support that, if there's a decision that needs to be made, a vendor doesn't follow up, a vendor hasn't received the work order in 24 hours, a vendor's not responding after 4 contact attempts for the AI, people have to jump in those edge cases, right?
Yeah,
And understand what's going on here. So yeah, we do offer that. And a lot of clients use us because they're like, hey, full automation to me is even meaning that when it does fail, it flags it to a person who's immediately jumping on it and helping to continue that work order moving forward. That's a part of that automation experience.
Got it.
Yeah.
And like I could like my mind can understand that workflow. What I don't understand a workflow in is like if it's an AI voice, how does it know that it didn't actually route the call to somebody? Like how does that even happen?
Yeah. So we have a judge, an AI judge that we created
Okay.
that's monitoring, like I think like a manager that's monitoring the AI voice agent.
Okay.
And if it flags or detects a unsuccessful workflow,
Mhm.
it immediately flags that and goes to the product quality team to look at it. And then they can help put it back on track, make sure that that email's sent, make sure that maybe even the resident gets a call back from somebody and says, hey, we noticed that this call got dropped on you. We just want to jump in and make sure that you're supported. Like that's the level of failure gaps that people need to understand with AI to make sure that your solution has those built-in pieces. Either you need to solve for that in your company,
Yeah.
or Vendoroo offers that where we actually have that product for people, which a lot of people take advantage of that. Yeah.
Yeah. So all right. So I'm hearing this like if you're an AI company, you also like we're expecting people to like trust that AI can do some of their work, but we have an AI that's being managed by an AI before that AI goes up to a human. Why can't just the AI manager manage the AI? Like why does it have to get to a human?
Yeah, it's a great point. Like sometimes it just requires a phone call to a person to understand what their challenge. Like there are still pieces of this industry that still require a human to come in to have a human touch to understand what that person was trying to achieve. Right? If a
Yeah.
call fails, and then it's like, what does the AI then do? Like send maybe in the future or soon is going to send a text message to somebody and say, hey, we noticed this call failed. Can we help you like solve this out? Right now, in this learning curve that we're in, we think it's a better experience that when a human jumps in, if somebody's maybe frustrated or somebody's not feeling supported, the last thing that they want to do and sometimes is feel like another AI is trying to help them when they're already frustrated by an experience that they're having with AI. So let's give that personal human touch. And we think that's a much better experience than just being like, I don't have a solution for that.
Got it. So basically where the technology is, right now we're at a moment where it'll inevitably get to these different points where a certain percentage of people are going to have a bad experience. And therefore you don't want to double down on the AI experience or have or not know that it doesn't happen. So like you need to have something that verifies it. And then you have to have like a human way to reach out to it. It's like how many, is there like a percentage that is like acceptable of like how much an AI will like, how much does this happen if you think about it?
I think if we, I was in one of the sessions today and, a lot of people had some opinions on this. And basically they were saying that we expect AI to be like 95%. Right across the board, right? And what's your solution for that 5%? That's something that you really need to think about. And like what's your solution when a resident is having a challenge and they submit something to the AI and they're saying, hey, I'm asking somebody to call me, right? And a lot of times when a person wants to speak with somebody when they're calling, they're already frustrated and they want to feel like they're getting connected to the property management company, getting connected to a human. So that's a great product to be able to offer to your residents that when they request a phone call or a vendor requests a phone call, that a human is able to reach out to them and be there. They feel supported in that way. They understand that people are using AI to do triage and troubleshooting. They appreciate the speed. The results and the feedback is great. The resident sentiment is an all-time high right now, but adding that layer of that human aspect of it is really taking the service to the next level.
Interesting. So, all right, I want to unpack this idea that the acceptance of it is an all-time high. But before we get there, if it is widely known that AIs can get to 95% and there's a 5% gap, wouldn't every single company that's offering AI have a human that like backs it up? Or why is what you're saying like profound? Isn't it like obvious that you have to have like a human to fill that 5% gap?
I think that people are learning and getting educated to realize that AI solutions, even as amazing as they are and the automations that we're achieving across the board, which is fantastic, there are still gaps in the workflows and edge cases that you need to have a human solution. And you can choose whether or not that wants to be in my office, or you can choose whether or not to take advantage of our command package, which provides that to just make sure that you have 100% coverage. Like that's the goal at the end of the day is 100%, not 95%. So we at Vendoroo, not only through our Vendoroo guarantee, which is a great conversation that we should talk about, that if there's a failure, there's a backup guarantee that happens there. But having that extra 5% coverage is what we feel is the difference in that full end-to-end solution.
It's funny, man. When I was kind of like teeing you up to answer that. I feel like if you are a software company with software DNA, building up a team of maintenance coordinators in-house that can actually cover that 5% gap is a mountain that would be almost unsurmountable to a certain extent. And what we talk a lot about, like when I talk to Daniel a lot about, like, when we went to Optech, the conversation was around this idea that, we started with like Dave's brain was the AI, right? Like it was Dave sitting in a room with like 20 maintenance coordinators around them that are using an AI to like answer questions, but Dave's looking at all the questions that the AI is doing and listening to the phone calls with it. And that was how we started, right? Like owning the outcome and then building the AI that can own the outcome. Eventually it became AI driven human maintenance coordinator, kind of like supported, but still being driven on our side. And now the AI has gotten good enough to give it to the client. It's driving for the client. It's working directly for the client. But simply because we started this way, we have this team of people that's already a core part of our business that's trained in this way, that understands this natively and can handle this volume of work as we continue to grow. And I just can't imagine a software company like being a software company, not growing this way, growing the AI to do this, and then filling in the gaps with the human without having had the human in the first place. Like, is that?
Totally. And so what we saw as the evolution is that before we used to call everybody a EMC, an expert maintenance coordinator, right?
Yeah.
And then one of the things that we have really achieved, which is most exciting to me, is we taught how can AI agents and teammates work together? That's actually a really big breakthrough that we did behind the scenes. And it was so pivotal in our evolution that we actually now, the new phrase is an AIC. It's an AI coordinator, right? Because now with with Rue owning the maintenance coordination and these level of expert product quality and expert AICs that are there to support and help guide it, they're just there in those edge cases and learning how to work with the AI in those scenarios versus being the ones that are actually driving and owning the outcome. They're in that support and product quality role. So yeah, that was a huge change, so much so that we've actually coined the new phrase of AI coordinator, right? That the role of maintenance coordinator, they're not a maintenance coordinator, they're an AI coordinator. That's how pivotal it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense, man. Let's go back to what you said a second ago. People are starting to like really accept the idea, right? Like I hear my face is on all our ads, right? And people like to shit on me in those ads, right? Like the comment sections are not the kindest. One of those comments is like, this is crap. Nobody wants to talk to an AI. So you telling me that you're feeling like this, like, I've obviously been responding saying, hey, that's because not AIs are built the same. Like if you're thinking about the Bank of America AI, that shit sucks, right? But like what we're doing is completely different. But you're telling me that you're starting to feel like a real sentiment of people appreciating this like troubleshooting triaging piece and they're accepting it?
Yeah, I mean, it's not even an opinion. And when we're looking at the resident sentiment scores, that you're looking at the quality of all the conversations that are taking place that we monitor and look at for resident satisfaction versus resident frustration, and you're seeing experiences like, where people are saying, hey, good morning and thank you and I appreciate you, and having a maintenance coordinator that's responding to people within 3 seconds, that's built on empathy, kindness, support, consideration, and triage, that's according to the client's playbook. Residents are feeling more supported than ever. They're feeling that they're, so much so that, when somebody comes to us with a human-led maintenance department, on average, that client comes to us and about 17% of their portfolio will have an open work order in some stage, right? Rue has decreased that number down to 9.8% so far, right? Like that's how fast people are getting engaged. The triage and troubleshooting questions are getting answered. The information is being gathered. The scheduling is taking place that quick. So yeah, people are really going, hey, like, I understand what you're doing. I understand that, you're bringing in an AI agent to respond to me and to support me faster. But the end outcome is that my issue is getting resolved or a vendor is getting here quicker. So like, I'm on board about this. I don't have to wait 24 hours to speak to a human. I'd rather have my issue resolved in 24 hours. And so they're not actually feeling a decreased level in service. And if they are, all they have to say is, I want to speak with somebody. And then a flag gets popped up and then a human gives them a call and says, how can I be there to support you? Right? So they're getting the best of the both worlds. So why not give them outstanding instant service and response, and then also layer in that human support that we talked about? We think that that's the winning recipe.
It feels like just yesterday we were theorizing that this was the case, right? Like it feels like it was, maybe 6 months ago or maybe just a year ago that we're just like, people at some point will realize that this is actually a better experience and will start to demand AI. I'm not sure if we're at the point where they're like demanding I talk to an AI instead of a human, but it sounds like the reality is that the people that are experiencing are like, oh, okay, this is way better, which I think is pretty mind-blowing.
Somebody shared something with me that was pretty profound, I thought. They said, when we first thought about AI, we were at the train station and the AI train was coming by at like 5 miles an hour. And we were like intimidated to get on it. Then like a few months ago, the train was going like 40 miles an hour. We were more intimidated to jump on it. And they said, now it's going by us at 150 miles an hour. We know that we need to get on the train, but now it's like more intimidating than ever because of like, they weren't along. Like we talked about like the early adopters who went through the pain and they understood like what the end result is. And we're starting to see that across the board, as we know, with all the automation numbers and the tremendous growth that we've had here over the last 6 months. But now people are coming in, they're like, I know I needed to do this. Help me do this. Right. And so we're starting to see people that they're feeling like, I'm late to the train. And it's moving fast, and great that we have a company like Vendoroo that we have an amazing book that's helping them guide and understand how AI comes into their business. Our onboarding is more of like a certification of how to lead AI agents. And we have great coaches that help teach people. So we invest a lot. We have a lot of people that are here to help coach, train, and guide and support people that no other AI company has at the level that we have. And we feel that that's the service and the value that we provide to this industry, to try to adopt something that, that may be a little bit daunting to some people, that they are skeptical about it. And they just don't want to feel like, oh, I plugged this thing in and I have nobody here to support me. I think that would be a challenging thing for anybody to jump on the train. Like, we're the conductor, we'll help you get on the train, find your seat, punch your ticket, hold on for the ride. It may be a little bit bumpy, but you can always raise your hand and somebody come over and say, hey, let us help you through that bump,
Yeah. I think when we talk about the idea that like the most AI company needs to be the most human company, it sounds like you kind of got to lead by example there, right? Like people aren't gonna adopt AI if you can't get over the human component part of it to help them get through it. And I think that's been like a big thing that we figured out. I'd say it's something we really started figuring out, man, maybe like Q2 this year.
Hands down. That's like our
Yeah,
core focus of our product right now. Our core
yeah,
focus of the product is like, yeah, new features are going to be coming out, but it's like ensuring that the core features that we have that are operating at an all-time high,
yeah.
but making sure that people feel super supported and that they understand like how this is going to work inside their system. We're with them over that 90-day journey in the beginning, and they feel like somebody's holding their hand the whole way. We're teaching the next generation, right? If you're a company, the role of maintenance coordinator is going away, and at your company, you need to nominate somebody who's going to be your AI team lead. We're seeing benchmarks now that, instead of one person for every 250 or 300 doors to manage maintenance, you need one person for every 1,500 to 2,000 doors. So, so there's this new person that's in the office and they're like, I raise my hand, I'm going to be the leader of our AI teammate agents. And yeah, maybe I don't have to feel burnout anymore. Maybe I'm only doing 10 or 12 tasks a week because my AI teammate has it, but I'm managing 2,000 doors, 1,500 doors. I have great work-life balance. I'm feeling better about myself. I'm excited about my new position in my career. I'm learning a skill set. That you can tell that just gets me excited that there's this whole new role,
I'm glad you're excited. I'm glad that that's coming through from our product quality and our onboarding team, because I talk about this on the onboarding calls, right? Like our first onboarding call, I have everybody kind of like say what they're here for. And some people are just like, man, I just need to be on the tip of the spear of this AI thing. And what I tell them is, while you read all this stuff from like McKinsey about how AI isn't really like delivering results and blah, 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 like there's like a small amount of AI that's really delivering results. We just, because people happen to be in the property management industry, and because Vendoroo happens to be in the property management industry, and because they get to use Vendoroo, like I really feel like the folks that are owning this thing, that are saying, I want to be the AI lead inside of my company, are not just going to be the stars of their company. I think they're setting themselves for a very bright career. Like I just don't think there's a lot of verticals where AI is delivering results like this is delivering right now. There's maybe one or two companies in a handful of verticals. We happen to be one of them in this vertical. And it's just opening up careers, because the future is going to be, how do you manage agents and how do you run a team of agents? And
I always think of it like our onboarding is more than an onboarding. It's like, I think we actually should give people like a certification that now, like, I'm certified to be an AI team lead, and like you're talking about like the future more than ever. It's going to need people that are leaders and great communicators. That's the skill set that's coming back. Not to say that coding isn't the great skill set, not to say that being like the guy behind the computer screen is not a great skill set, but like that person that understands how to lead. And we know in this industry, there's one thing, that there's a ton of people in this rental industry. There's a lot of great leaders. And now they can have impact over 2,000 doors.
yeah.
They can look at a problem and they can type in a prompt or a command, and they can make an immediate change that like impacts like 6,000 residents at once. Like, I don't know. That gets me excited when I'm like, I look at a broken workflow and I'm like, hey, if I just do this and this, I fix this workflow, and my resident sentiment score went from a 6.5 to a 9 because of a decision that I made, and globally made that change in a second of having awareness. That's the stuff that really gets me excited about, property manager burnout and people feeling that they're stuck in the mundane and not having an impact. You're going to have more impact on more residents with a single person than we've ever seen in this industry ever before, because of people that are stepping up and saying, I'm willing to jump in, I'm willing to go through the burn, I'm willing to learn, and I want to be a leader that impacts thousands of residents, not hundreds of residents. Right?
Anything else that you want to say?
No, I actually got a meeting at 2:30 to go talk more about AI agents, so I got to bounce myself. Love you, man. Always appreciate the time.
Deuces.
All right, peace.
Bye.